Hello everybody and welcome to Lucky by Nature. I am Beastdaemon and thank you for hanging out with me today. Please show your amazing support by smashing the like button, and if you are new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe so you can get your daily dose of art. Today I'm going to show you one of the best tips I have that is very useful for both PvE but especially for PvP. I figured this one thing out on PvE a long time ago, but like I said, it came extremely useful for PvP. So let's get right into it. This is going to be the very first tip. So pro tip number 1, wireless electricity. Alright guys, so try to bear with me here for a sec because this one is it can be a little tough to try to explain and show you guys. So basically what we have here is we have a Jenny in this building here, and I am using a Parasitherium, and this is 4 levels high and with a slight slant, and that is done on purpose because the Purser is a bit taller than 4 pillars high. So the first thing you need to do is put one of these cross sections or cross electrical wires and then connect the second one. The reason you want to connect the second one is because I mean, you can connect these however you want, but what we're gonna try to do is we are going to try to connect to this here. See, this is the one that's active, that's connected directly to the Jenny. And at this point, what I'm gonna do, I put the back one, the back cross section, to align it. As you can see, I'm really close. Let me just step back a bit. That should be pretty close. Yeah, that's really close. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I am going to destroy this cross section. And now we're gonna put another one, but we don't want it to go there. Okay, so boom. As soon as it gets really close, as you can see, now we have power on the platform itself. So now you can pretty much put anything you want on here. You know, if you are going to go and get yourself some prime meat, this is especially very useful in Scorched Earth. But let me put these levels in here. Once it gets done dancing around, I will go ahead and put a fridge. And this is typically what I would do in Scorched Earth, and I never really wanted to share this one just because it is extremely useful. Like I said, not just for PvE but also for PvP, and I'll show you why it's so useful for PvP. Alright, so what I'm doing here is I am building another structure, and this is why this is so awesome in PvP, because you can actually put your Jenny in a different building, a small building that you can make it look like a tower, or it can be a tower, turret tower, extremely hard to get into. And then you can go to your main building as long as you're in a slanted area like this. And so what I'm going to try to do now is I am going to try to get it as close as possible to where I want it, because you only have a little tiny section that you can actually connect these guys where they won't be on there. But the first thing you need is you're gonna need a cross section. I mean, it doesn't have to be a cross section, it could just be a regular, but I think that should be pretty close. Boom, see, there you go. So now we have power to this. So imagine installing only one single wire wherever it is that you need the power. And the best part is that you can do this with any platform saddle. So the quets comes in extremely handy. It moves a little bit more than the purser does, but it's the same concept, and once you get used to it, it's not that hard. And so basically, like I said before, you can hide your Jenny really well, and then on your main building, just put the wires wherever you need them. And if you get raided, there's no way that they could ever find your Jenny. They would be looking for it. They would be looking for the wires, but there would be none to find, because you would only put them in certain places, like, you know, corners and things like that. And you could also put other stuff on top of it, or do a multi-layer walls and things like that, so that way the wires would be nice and safe. Or in my experience, I found that putting vaults on top of the wires is usually the best option. But once you do this, you gotta make sure that you protect those wires. So more than that, you gotta protect your dino. And of course, you know that these guys are really hard to kill, these pursers. And this, I'm just showing you basically what I typically do. Oh, the fridge is in the way. Let me just get rid of that. I do go into a much more elaborate setup on the purser itself, but for this situation, I'm just you know, kind of slapping it together, just basically to show you. So basically, I would go ahead and seal all this so you wouldn't be able to see the wires, but I'm gonna go ahead and show you what happens when one of these wires gets destroyed. If I were to destroy the back one, you would lose power to the front one as well, because don't forget, the back one is the one that we initially connected to the main power. But the wires that we just put on that new structure are connected to the this wire that is exposed right here. So if I were to demolish this, you lose power to that as well. So you have to keep that in mind. But let's destroy this real quick so I can show you that not all is lost. As you can see, the one that is still connected to the main power, which is this one, is still good to go. So I can just add the other cross section here, or intersection, however you want to call it. And oh, this is dead. Let me get rid of that. And see, but that doesn't mean that that power on that structure is gonna come back. You would have to do it all over again, which is why you don't want to get any of these or these two destroyed, and you always have to have two on here. The other thing is that these are reusable, obviously, so I can go to a different building and do the same thing that I just did on that last one, and you can just keep on going. So yeah, this is really neat. I suggest you practice a little bit. I still have 2 more tips to go through, so those are going to be really quick, just because it took a little longer to do this one. So let's get right into that. Oh, no. Okay, I guess this video is just going to be a little longer. So basically what I want to show you real quick is that if you do turn off the Jenny, you see the Jenny's over here. Typically it would be like Fort Knox where the Jenny was, and normally I would also I do get very tricky with a few things, but that could be you know, something for another video, because there's a way that you can stop this from happening. As you saw, I turned it off, these guys turned off, turned it back on, these guys turned on. But anyways, this is long enough, so we'll move on from here. There's so much more I could talk to you guys about this, but I know that there's many of you out there that get upset with us for making these so long and only providing a handful of pro tips. So let's move on. Pro tip number 2: save it for later. Obviously, this is gonna be more useful for the newer arc players. And basically what this means is that if you kill something with your Parasaur, all you have to do is press G to pick this baby up, just like this. And you can just go ahead and carry it back to, close to where you live. And I mean, this is kind of cool. It's definitely interesting. Unfortunately, of course, consoles do not have the G button. So there are no buttons on the controller that can help you do this, because the G is equivalent to the Y. And so if I were to press Y, obviously I would end up jumping right off of this this Parasaur. But as far as I know, well, I know for a fact that for the Xbox, you can buy a mini keyboard that plugs into the controller, and there you can press the G and it'll work just fine as well. I don't know if they have something like that for PlayStation, so I do apologize for that. And the Parasaur is not the only one that can drag these guys around. Depending on how much weight you can carry, or your dino can carry, they should have no problem taking things like this around. Obviously, if their carry weight is not so high and these things that you gotta drag around are much heavier, then you're gonna have problems. And also, not all dinos do this. Like big dinos, like the Giga, will not do this. The Ricks, however, will. Let me see what else. I know that the UT won't do it, but Allos will. So it all depends. If they walk on 2 legs and they have little, well, not little arms, but if they have arms like the Parasaur, and also if they have big jaws, typically they would do it. But like I said, I don't know why the UT won't. So there's a lot of dinos that we could test, but that's just too much for me to deal with, because I got so many other pro tips that I gotta show you. So that's something that you may wanna play with and see which dinos do it and which ones don't. But the one thing that I can tell you is that the Reaper is a different beast. It doesn't like to carry, it just likes to hike the ball. Watch, see? Whee! That's pretty far. A good center. Now let's try this strike. See how far we can hike him. Boom. Look at that. Whee! Anyway, I thought I'd throw that in. That's pretty fun. So let's move on to the next tip. Tip number 3. Air brakes. And this one a lot of people may know about, but some people still do not. Whenever you are using a Pteranodon or an RG and you are building a little high, kind of like this, typically I've seen this quite a bit, where they try to kind of make little passes at whatever they're building. And I guess this is more to do with PvE. PvP, not so much. But typically that's what they try to do. So in order to actually get much more efficient, all you really have to do is press X and you will stop almost on a dime. Watch. Boom. You see that? And now I can go ahead and build, so you don't have to do those little passes. In PvP, I do use it every now and then, especially if I see that somebody is trying to kind of guess where I'm about to go. And so, especially if I am fighting people with wyverns, or if I see people getting ready to grapple whatever bird I'm on, then I stop and I see them shoot ahead of me, which is kind of funny. But anyways, that's it. That is the third tip, and so I do try to throw in 3 at every video at least. But that's it for me. So until next time, keep surviving.
My work saved the human race.